Hello and welcome to the Purple Army podcast in association with Goldstone Wealth Management. It's Tuesday the 13th September 2016. I am Ross McGregor, and joining me this week, Kate Seaman, Graham Thompson and Jennifer Shaw. In this show we will chat with Manchester Storm General Manager Neil Russell and discuss the questions and topics raised by you. First though, we had a chat about the weekend's games.
This is your wake-up call, your chance to change it all. And I hope that you change it. You say that it's all you got when you know it's not. Your fingers are crossed, falling clover, full like air. Hard work pays off, I guess that's your point.
I'm joined this week by Graham Thompson. How are you, Graham?
I'm fine, thanks, Ross.
We've got Jennifer Shaw. How are you, Jen?
Very well, thank you.
And Kate Seaman. How are you, Kate?
I'm good, thanks, Ross.
Okay. Before we start the podcast today, I need to mention we've got a competition running this week's show. It's for a copy. We've got 2 copies of NHL 17, courtesy of Goldstone Wealth Management. The competition basically is, during the course of this podcast, the surnames of clan players we mention, both past and present, if you count them up at the end and give us a number on Twitter using the hashtag pod17. Each player only counts once, so if we mention them twice or 3 times, just count them once. We will accept reasonable nicknames, like, for example, and you don't have to count this one. Fitzgerald, Fitzy, Fitz, if we use one of those 3 for him, you could count that as 1, but don't count that one. You can start from now, so we'll batter onto the podcast. Obviously we'll start with the games we played at the weekend. Obviously Saturday night was the first visit of Nottingham Panthers to Braehead. I think, we all kind of thought it would be a decent game. The Clan would stand a chance. I thought they came out pretty hard hitting, finishing their checks, and I was really quite impressed with the way the Clan started off. Braehead scored the first goal just around about the 9-minute mark with Scott Pitt. It was a really strong play by Cowick, puck breaking to Beck on the left wing, and he played a fabulous pass to pick out Scott Pitt, who done what he always does. He finished his chance. We had a Cody Carlson penalty just a few seconds later, and the usual thing happens when Cody Carlson goes in the box. The other team score, and Matt Carter duly obliged. The team's going in 1-1 at the end of the first period. Second period started. It's pretty much Clan still in it, and Clan were playing well, but in the 38th minute, in the second period, Dan Spang managed to get a goal to put the Panthers up, and that was again on the power play, and they were dragging the Clan D all over the place. Third period, Braehead took a penalty. Matt Becker was a poor slashing call, but still it was a call. And then not long after that, while we're still on the 4 skaters, Barry McKenzie took a boarding call, and it was a solid boarding call now, having watched it back. And the Clan were 5-3, and Nottingham do what all good teams do, and they scored a goal from the 5-3. They went on to score an empty net goal near the end to make it 4-1. Graham, I thought the 4-1 wasn't really a fair reflection. I know everybody would argue with that because that was the score, but I didn't feel it was a fair reflection on the effort the Clan put in, and it was a much tighter game than the scoreline suggested. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I thought overall we played pretty well. Unfortunately, as we talked about last week quite a lot, too many shades of last year, making plenty of chances, but just not putting them away. And of course, the penalties that we're taking just killed us. That penalty kill is definitely not right now. We're taking too many silly penalties, and I agree with you. I certainly think the slashing call on Becker was a poor one. But overall, I think we played all right. I came away a bit obviously disgruntled about the score, as I'm sure everybody was, but I still felt reasonably positive about the fact that we had played fairly well. And echoing your point, certainly the score didn't echo the result. And things like our goalie, I thought the goalie played well. I thought Callum Boyd was a standout. Again, just not quite seeing anybody else really standing out. Scott Pitt, again, maybe the possible exception, but as far as the new players are concerned, not really seeing anybody rise out of the roster that's really grabbing the attention. But overall, again, not a bad performance, but certainly not a good result.
Jennifer, am I the only one that was happy with the way the Clan were forechecking they were hitting? I mean, you talk about players, Graham's talking about Scott Pitt. Scott Pitt's really given it a whirl this year, isn't he? He's really going for the forecheck, he's finishing his checks, but the team really started strong at that. Did you notice that as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. The first period, kind of was remarking to my other half how fast the game was, and we were just kind of hoping that they were going to be able to keep it up for the full 3 periods, because it was such a fast game for that first period. So obviously you do kind of wonder about tying out, but everybody was doing what they were meant to be doing. The only thing we weren't really doing was that final scoring part. There was lots of shots. I wouldn't particularly say Vikman had some phenomenal shots. So it's just that obviously the quality of the shots going to him weren't that really a great standard that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, Kate, I mean, it was a lot of low percentage shots we were taking, and as the game wore on, you know, the only thing that I worried about was the heads seemed to go down, and you'd think that in another day that might not happen, but, you know, what were your thoughts about it?
It was a difficult one. I came away feeling just quite frustrated, just because I always go back to when the team's been really, really poor, and there was nothing that I was like, that's what's terrible, apart from special teams, obviously. And I just felt quite frustrated watching us, because they seem like a team that could do really, really well, but they haven't got the confidence or the kind of togetherness yet for it to go our way. I also felt that Nottingham were quite scrappy, and I think that kind of threw us off a wee bit.
Yeah, I mean, having watched that game, and I'm not really going to dwell on the games, because obviously we don't want to dwell on times when we're beaten all the time, but having seen Nottingham, I mean, and having seen Belfast, and I think I said it at the Belfast game as well, there's not really an awful lot to be afraid of when you're seeing these two teams. You know, on another day we could give them a game and we look as if we're just nearly there, Graham, yeah?
We're nearly there. Well, that's what I thought.
We thought on Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say, not quite the same story for Sunday night, unfortunately, but look, I don't know. I mean, again, we've got this, there's the expectation, there's the will to try and get the whole season off to a great start, which unfortunately already at this early stage we don't have. But, you know, we can turn that around, obviously, and as Finn has already said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I think we do have to be patient to a certain extent. Having said all that, we're in our own barn at the start of the season for the first time, I think, ever. So, you know, we don't have the Disney situation to worry about. So I would kind of hope we are using that facility, if you like, to get off to as good a start as possible. But so far the signs aren't there, and certainly, and obviously we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Sunday. The manner in which we lost on Sunday was quite dispiriting. Yeah, certainly with Panthers, I mean, again, you have to look at the situation whereby the remaining place in their roster is just about to get really, really filled. So they're going to be an interesting team to watch, and certainly, you know, so far they're looking to be a good team. So but we're not that far off, but we do have to make sure that everything's clicking as quickly as possible. So fingers crossed.
Well, we did think we weren't that far off, and then Sunday happened. Down to Cardiff, a 5-1 defeat. All kicked off. You know, we'll cover more about this later on, because we've got lots of questions about it. Within 43 seconds, Trevor Hendricks and Andrew Lord had a fight. Trevor Hendricks got the instigator, which I thought was a bit rough on him, to be fair. But from the resulting power play, what's the usual story? No, it's Cardiff scored a goal, 131, and Joey Martin had put Cardiff 1 up. 7 minutes in, Lane Ulmer, the wrong Ulmer, if you like, scored a goal, and it was a turnover by Sully that kind of gifted them that chance. Into the second period, Clan got one back, Alex Levitt, and it's what you would expect. You know, Jeff Ulmer broke down the right, Jay Rosehill went to the net, and Alex Levitt got the rebound from the pads from Bounds and put it away. That's what you would expect that line to do. That's the kind of goals I would expect them to score, and it was looking quite good at that point. It looked as if there was a chance we could get it back, and I think I mean, I commented doing the updates that, you know, the Clan have went down there in the last 2 years, went down a goal or two, and it hasn't fazed them. In fact, I think they come back from a 3-goal deficit, either last year or the year before down in Cardiff. Anyway, Cardiff scored again through Matthew Myers. Again, not long after that, Scott Pitt hit the post, and a minute later, Cardiff get another goal. Into the third period, 47 minutes, another goal from Jake Morrissey, unassisted. And, you know, it could have been more, Graham, though. The heads just seemed to go down, didn't they?
Yeah, the manner of the defeat was very disappointing. I mean, there was very, very few players that seemed to be really up for it to try and make something happen. And again, I'm going to single out Callum Boyd as being probably, for a large part of the latter part of the game, our best player on the ice. So, yeah, the manner of the defeat was extremely disappointing. And it seemed as if our heads were down. And again, you know, and I keep coming back to it, but, you know, shades of last year, lots of effort, but just nothing happening. And I think we actually outshot them in the third period. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we outshot them. So, you know, again, we kept trying, but nothing happening. A lot of, you know, exploratory shots from far out and what have you, but again, just not happening. When you're up against a goalie like Ben Bounds, and you've really got to be doing something special to get past him. So, yeah, very disappointing overall in terms of the display, and yeah, I'm sure I don't know if they took the bus back or a plane back or whatever, but I'm sure it was a long trip no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, again, Jennifer, when we've got lots of questions about this, we'll cover when we get to that section. But it was kind of a disheartening performance, wasn't it? There just didn't seem to be any fight back after they went 3 goals, the third goal at Cardiff's goal, and you just didn't see it at all coming back. And that's not the Braehead that we're kind of used to, is it?
No, not at all. I didn't watch the webcast, and I think I'm really quite glad that I didn't, by the sounds of things, because Saturday's game was such a frustrating game to watch. And as I said, my other half, he watched the webcast, and he said it was even more frustrating watching on Sunday night. So it's when you can see a team that you know what they can do, but they just seem to have kind of lost their way. Yeah,
I mean, somebody commented, you know, Matt Keith, when Matt Keith plays well, the Clan play well as a team. I kind of don't know if I buy into that, but you're kind of used to Matt Keith being a kind of Robert the Bruce type. He'll, you know, grab the team with the scruff of the neck. And I don't really think it happened for him in Sunday night at all, did it, Kate?
No, it was... Sunday was a difficult one, but I'd messaged you the other night and I said, you know, at least they're still trying to score goals. You know, they didn't kind of give up in that sense, but in a lot of ways they did kind of just quite early on. And I think it was actually the Cardiff commentary team that were talking about Matt Keith and how he has the ability to bring the team together once the team have kind of clicked. And they're right, and they were just passing comment on the fact that they think there's a lot of improvement to come, and I would have to agree with them on that. But yeah, it was a difficult one to watch. But as Graham said, Callum Boyd was absolutely outstanding, and everybody's given him credit for that. And I think that Finnerty made the right choice by putting the Brit boys on the last power play or the last penalty kill, just to kind of say, you know, I'm not just putting up with poor play.
Yeah, I mean, Callum Boyd, he certainly plays for the jersey, doesn't he? I mean, he'll go to the moon and back for the Clan. There's no doubt about that, and that's, you know, sometimes just that little bit of fans seeing that effort, and I'm not suggesting any of the other players weren't putting any effort in, but with Boyd, it's so obvious, you know, and he's so fast, he's so disruptive. Right at the end, he was willing to take on Josh Batch, and Josh Batch is it must be nearly a foot taller than him or something. But, you know, he's just all heart, and, you know, the fans just love to see that. I think the message, I hope we all agree, and you can tell me if you disagree, I think the message still is, you know, it's only a couple of games into the league season, one game into the Challenge Cup. You know, it's not time to start raising the rafters yet. It's not time. You know, as Finnerty always says, you know, we don't get too high, we don't get too low. I think the only slightly concerning thing about it all is, you know, the D still looks a bit all over the place. There didn't seem to be that much fighting Sunday night. You know, I don't know. But I'm not worried. Is anybody else worried quite yet?
I'm not worried, but I think we talked a lot last season about the special teams, and here we are. The season's only just started. We're 0 for 14 on the power play, where we've third of our